really good companies out there for our people to see.
Yeah,
Because
also, Gentry, you're lagging pretty bad. I don't know if it's the Wi-Fi or something.
no, it's you that's lagging, dude.
I think you're lagging.
You're
All right,
lagging, dude.
let's do a
You're
poll
probably
in the
modding or
comments, guys.
something.
Is it
You're modding or
is
something.
it Gentry that's lagging, or is it me that's lagging?
I
Just
don't think it.
right in the comment section.
I don't think it's lagging right now.
Is it? I'd like to know who is lagging. That's a good question.
Who's lagging? So,
Because to me, you're lagging. Gentry.
Well, I'm on Instagram, so I don't know. And I'm just using
Gentry.
my Wi-Fi. The Gentry's blurry.
Gentry, looks like it's you, buddy.
Hang on. Let me just like hang out here. Come back. Is this better?
No.
It's not better.
Not at all. Not at all.
Gosh.
Are you
It might be
on Wi-Fi, or
you're just too good looking, so all the pixels and all the bandwidth is going to you.
Are you
might be trying to censor this like monstrosity I have in my face right now. That's probably what it is. Dude, it's like a freaking boil.
That's
it's
a nice one.
It's like literally this big.
Yeah.
And it just appeared on my 31st birthday. And so that was like nature's gift to me. It's like this freaking tumor on my face. I probably have to go check out the wellness company and see if they have any solutions for that.
They might have something for your face.
I don't know. That might be really good.
You know, there's I backpacked for 5 years around the world, and I mean, I got sick in every single country I was in. I think the worst I've ever been sick in my entire life was in India. I was on a 3-day camel trek in between India and Pakistan. There was a desert. I think it's forget what desert it is. Anyway, I was deathly sick, and I was so sick that I would have given every penny I had in the bank account, which at the time wasn't a lot, but I would have given every penny to not be on top of a camel in the middle of the desert and to be in a air-conditioned room. And I didn't know what to buy, so I bought the wrong medication that wasn't even for what I was, what I had.
Yeah.
And so just having the right medication is crucial in times like that, especially when you don't speak the same language as the country. What's up, David?
Hey, what's up? Sorry, I'm a little late.
No, we're so mad at you. We're furious, to be honest.
I honestly just didn't want to interrupt Fabian's amazing story, so I'm gonna delay it a little bit.
Oh man, I've been in some pain, but
yeah,
good things happening. Actually, David is going to CPAC this week.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. So if you're going to CPAC and if you see David, shout his name and run over to him and get a picture with him, and let's see if we can create some buzz around David being at CPAC. Because that would be fun if we turned him into like a celebrity. That'd be fun, kind of a funny thing.
I'm gonna try my hardest to like find my way to get into like certain people's way so I could ask them a question for everybody. It's gonna be a lot of guests, so you got to find them out there.
You should do a video and just ask people like what questions they want to ask. I think that'd be great.
That's a good idea.
Like I'm going to CPAC. I'm going to see these people, hopefully, what question do you want to ask what person?
That's a good idea right there. That's definitely what I'm going to do. Yeah. Now I'm making a video. Oh,
sorry, guys.
Fabian just died.
But no, I'm excited.
Fabian, I think you need some ivermectin, dude.
Yeah, really.
He looks like you got a virus on your thing, man. What's going on?
Yeah, try to fix this thing.
But no, I'm excited. I've honestly never been to a conference. I told you that yesterday, Gentry, like a political conference. So
yeah,
I'm excited to see what it's all about and see what all these people got to say. I've never seen all these people live, so this should be interesting.
Yeah. Who's like your favorite person you're gonna see, you think?
Definitely Trump.
Yeah. Oh, have you never seen Trump live?
Never seen Trump live. So
dude,
I know.
Dude, you're gonna flip.
I'm ready.
when I saw him at Turning Point Action, he was fantastic. Like, but he went for like an hour and a half.
Wow.
Yeah, it was nuts. That guy can talk.
I bet.
That's
I'm excited to also see Javier Milei, honestly. That's like my second biggest, like, I'm like, wow, can't believe he's actually going to go and speak there.
Well, there was a report that came out that said that they had a surplus last month.
First in 12 years or something.
600 million. Yeah, I saw it was a first in 12. It was freaking nuts. That's amazing. So it's funny though, because he's using the same model as like Elon Musk, like firing like 70% of the government, and then it still works fine because you really don't need that many people, and then tax revenue doesn't have to be as high, which is fantastic because then we get to keep, or they get to keep more of their money. Like, I bet you we're going to see a boom in Argentina like we haven't seen ever, and people are going to start to move to Argentina.
Yeah. No, it just shows you, like, I mean, these people bought into collectivism for so long, and now they're getting a real taste of individualism, free market capitalism in a sense. So, and it all starts with gutting the system, right? Because if the system is built on all this collectivism idea, then that's where it's always going to be. Like in America, you know, there's a lot of us that would like to push away from like the style of socialism that I would consider they have in America. And the only way to do that, I think, is by gutting the system.
So what agency would you gut first? So chat, tell us what you would gut first. Like who would you, like, what agency would you fire first? And then David and Fabian, like, who would you guys like?
What's the agency that's called all of them? I forget what their acronym is. I think it's AOT. AOT.
I'm gonna fire AOT.
I went to the IRS.
IRS is good.
You know what I would do? Here's what I would do if I had unbridled power. I would make every agency come and make the case on why they should remain as an agency, but stream it in front of all the American people and have the top brass of every agency come and say, this is why we should continue to be an agency. And the people, right, like American Idol, the people vote. And
text the vote, right?
Yeah, you have three spots.
Oh
and if
my gosh! Can you imagine live streaming that on X and having like live polls in the chat, dude? It would be a massacre.
Look, it would be like the original Greek square, honestly. You know how they would round around in the town square and the Coliseum, and just vote on it. Straight democracy.
Yeah,
you go. Oh, you stay.
Yeah.
So
Ridgeline says, if it doesn't make money on its own, it's not taking people's money, it's gone.
I mean, that's a good point. But I mean,
here's my thing though, is that maybe I'll get some heat for this, but I think that some of these institutions are actually pretty good. And I feel like some of our founding fathers would really like to see those, but they've been just, you know, either infiltrated or they're infused with so much corruption now that, I mean, really the only way to do anything about that is to tear them all apart and rebuild from the beginning. The ones that you need, because there's a lot of bureaucracy. Go ahead.
Which one would you keep? Like, you just like wouldn't touch at all? Because I think that's a better question, because everyone wants to get rid of the FBI and the CDC and like all these other ones, but which ones would you keep?
Well, you know, see, that's an issue, because if you had an agency that was truly run with good people and good intentions and not turning in on the American people as the FBI and CIA have been doing forever now, then the idea is good. Just like a lot of things where the idea is good, but the implementation and the addition of the money into politics is what corrupts it. And the ability for these people to be lifelong bureaucrats and never have to answer to anyone, because the next president's going to be around in 4 years. And even if this one doesn't like you, you're still going to be there because you have a set of skills that is really hard to replicate. But then at the end, you don't allow new ideas to come to the forefront, so you get stuck in this cavern of like rather echo chamber of people around you, just because you've been doing it forever.
Yeah, I would honestly honestly, unpopular opinion would keep the FBI, but you would need to restructure it so much, because if you go back to the origins of the FBI, it was pretty damn effective. But then it became a tool, like an extension, I would say, of the executive branch to persecute any like dissent or any opposition, even if it's not the minority. So I would keep the FBI, but it would need a lot of restructuring, and I mean, and then I would actually still keep Homeland Security. What is it called? The Department of what is
DHS?
it? DHS. There you go. The Department of Homeland Security, because in a sense, again, that was great, but too much powers have been allocated to them. They're starting to be like the NSA in a sense, where they really do just spy on you as Americans, right? And cooperate with whatever executive branch they're like the head of the executive. But yeah, I mean, if you just restructure it all, you get it redone, you can definitely make it happen.
Yeah, quick note, there's an incredible interview that Michael just had with Bill Federer. And I'm telling you, if you're listening to this, you have to listen to this interview. I've heard it twice, okay? And I'm going to keep the tab open on my computer for as long as I need to get every ounce of knowledge that Bill Federer spits in the interview. But he talks a lot about everything that we're speaking about, specifically about how the founders of the Constitution had this idea, and then what's happened since then, and how, I mean, his ability to bring up historical context to in a manner that I rarely see people be able to have a clarity of history at a drop of, like, and bring
no notes either. He just goes into it. He's so quick. Don't listen
he
to
went
it at like 2x speed, because you're gonna miss it.
Yeah, no. He literally went from talking about the India Maharajas, and then he combined it with like the Greeks and what they did with, and I'm just like, this is crazy. It's like he's taking you on a time travel, or on a travel through time. So it's called Bill Federer. Just go to the Breakaway USA YouTube page. It's right there. This guy is blowing up. He was on Daily Wire. I don't know if he was on Jordan Peterson yet, but incredible guy.
Yeah.
That's a great
idea. When I met him at a Turning Point event, he was probably the only guy that I've like fanboyed over, and he's like this historian author, right? God, I've met a bunch of these guys in the movement, but like I just fanboyed over Bill Federer. That was so funny.
Well, I didn't know who he was actually, so Michael also fanboyed over him as well. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, this guy must be good. And then I listened to it, and I'm like, how did I not know this person existed? Like, it's incredible. Incredible.
I think everybody has to know about him, because he is like educating people on the founding of the country in a way that's really, really interesting, because it's applicable today.
Yeah. When he's naming like names of certain people, and the dates that they did things, and the years specifically where different constitutional amendments passed, I'm just like, how can someone have such a wealth of knowledge? It's really incredible when you have a national treasure like that. You really try to get all the information out of them and get it on film. Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
So we're talking about Bill.
We're talking about
Bill Federer.
Bill Federer, one of our guys, Michael, the New Guards. He just did an episode with him. It's on our YouTube channel. Please go check it out, and share it with your liberal uncle, because he needs to hear it.
Yeah.
No.
And besides that, I just want to give a shout out quick for anyone who's just come on, to our sponsor, TWC Health. They do incredible work. They have a very unique product where they give you, or they have different med kits. So travel kit, med kit, contagion kit. But all these kits actually contain medicine. So you're not just having a tourniquet and a Band-Aid and some ointment. You actually have medicines, and there's placards in there. So whatever your symptoms are, you can cure over 30 ailments that you're having. So anything from literally like the plague, which is pretty crazy, to COVID-19. I can't say that on Instagram. I just did. To pneumonia, to all this stuff. So check them out.
19, you said 90.
Yeah, COVID-19. That's in a few years, but they have like ivermectin. They have like spike protein support. like I'm about to go drop a ton of money on this stuff because you kind of need to have like a whole stack of ivermectin. Apparently, there is like a new virus going around and people are getting sick for like weeks. And
LA, a lot of people are sick right now.
It's probably the next one that's coming around, and they're probably going to try to shut everything down. So you definitely want to have like a good ivermectin stash and a good like the med kits are fantastic too. They come with like a pamphlet, and if you have like certain symptoms, they're like, okay, like take this, and you know, X amount of times a day. So it's super helpful. I'm going to Costa Rica in like a month and a half, so I'm gonna bring one of those med kits with me because I feel like you just need to have
definitely need that in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
Costa Rica. Yeah, no. When you're traveling, you're always probably getting sick or something like that. So this stuff is great for that. Nothing like having a little travel size med kit with you always.
Yeah.
Everything that you need. That way you're not trying to find CVS in the morning or something like that.
All right. So big news out of New York City. It is done because of this lawsuit against Trump, right? This civil lawsuit it's a political witch hunt. It's ridiculous, but
the biggest
witch hunt. So Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank, he's Canadian, but he's super based. He's a capitalist through and through. And I posted a couple of videos about him explaining what's going on. And he takes all the politics out of it and explains it in like a way. It's like, this is how you value a building. This is how you get a loan for that building. This is how you build, blah, blah, blah. This is exactly what Trump did. This is exactly what every developer does. And so if you're going to like go after Trump, now you have the precedent to sue every real estate developer. So what's happening now is companies are actually moving out of New York City. Like already. I don't even think Trump has appealed the fine yet, and companies are already moving out because they're seeing light. So I saw one. It was either Smith and Wesson or Kimber. They were based out of New York City, and they just announced I think yesterday or today that they're going to move down to Georgia.
Oh, yeah, let's go. Come on, baby.
In addition to that, Elon Musk is going to something very similar with the Delaware court. Said that he's not eligible to receive his bonus package of whatever $55 billion from taking Tesla from a $60 billion to a $600 billion company. So he changed his. By the way, if you're a business person, you know everyone talks about having an LLC in Delaware, right? Delaware. Well, apparently that's no longer the case because as soon as this happened, he moved his LLC down to Texas, and a lot of other companies followed suit. So here's what I think about all this. The leftists took over Harvard. Harvard has fallen as an institution of prestige, right? Every institution they go and every company they go, they ruin it. But that is their goal, right? They don't want people to do the stuff that Americans have always done, right? The American dream. So if they can destroy any institution, they think that that's part of the hierarchy. So even if the institution fails, they don't care about the institution. They care about the crumbling of American institutions. So as long as it's going down the drain, they're happy. So I don't know if that's the same avenue that they're taking in New York, where they want to just be all migrants, no one left there to fight. But if that's their goal, I mean,
I personally think it's just like the left again not realizing their consequences by having this like political drive nonstop to go after Trump. This literally happens all the time. They set some new precedent, they do something outrageous, and then it really backfires on them. I saw something by where so they Trump didn't defraud any banks. No banks lost any money. The loans are repaid. People were happy. People got what they wanted. The employees were happy. So it's just crazy. I mean, I feel like soon in New York is the same thing as soon in DC, where it's just massively liberal. So good luck finding like a non-biased jury, essentially.
Yeah.
So it would make sense why a lot of companies would get the hell out of there, especially capitalist companies. Because these leftists, they just these companies aren't paying their fair share. let's sue them.
Yeah, well, and the more you have companies that are actually producing stuff, leave states that are producing socialism, the less tax revenue you have to prop up all these stupid programs like giving illegals up to $10,000, which is what Mayor Adams now wants to institute in New York, which is just ridiculous. $10,000 without showing any proof of ID for illegal immigrants. You have companies that are like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. Why am I going to pay taxes into that? Peace. So see how long this is able to sustain itself before they go ask, Uncle Biden in the White House for some extra money because they don't have any more.
But Biden doesn't have any money because he's too busy trying to give it to Ukraine.
95 billion.
95 billion, and apparently there's going to be another 100 billion coming in the next few months. So
they're trying to launder as much before Trump gets back in.
Well, that's exactly what I was thinking, because there's so much buzz right now about the money laundering. Like enough people are awake to know what's going on. So because tons and tons of people are talking about it and they're paying attention now, they can't really do it anymore. And so I feel like they're trying to do like one last push, and then I don't think we're going to see any more funding out or for Ukraine or Israel or like any of these other countries that for some reason we're propping up. I don't even really understand. Like, I'm all for Israel, but I don't understand why we're sending them money, because they're not a poor country.
I think that they just trade essentially technology like that. So a lot of technology that the military builds here in America on, gets traded from Israel, and a lot of it actually gets manufactured in Israel. So it's like a trade partnership.
So we're sending them money so they can buy our technologies and our weapons?
No, the other way around. So we send them money, and then in return, we have a good partnership with them, and they share their technology with the United States. Like Patriot missile, for example, that defense system that's set up all around the entire world, like in U.S. bases protecting them, that's so essentially from the Israeli dome, just a larger scale essentially of it. But the other thing too, I'm trying to remember what I was going to say. Oh, okay. It gives them money, which you're not going to like, and I don't personally like, but I don't really see another way around going to like restock essentially the Iron Dome. They get this money so then they can buy contracts from U.S. defense companies essentially, like Raytheon or like what is it called, like Boeing or whatever it is. All these companies that make defense related stuff. That's how Israel is able to buy it.
Yeah, they're also very big in AI.
So it's kind of like what I was saying earlier. Like we're giving them money so then they can go buy contracts. So it's just like the classic military industrial complex like playbook, right?
Well,
that's why
here's where the difference is, right? And I'll be transparent, like a year ago, even a couple months ago, I really was like all about supporting Ukraine. I still do, because I understand how much of a threat Putin is, and we can talk about that if you want to. But unlike Ukraine, Israel is actually a pretty strategic partnership for America to have. And my big thing is that no foreign policy is pretty dangerous foreign policy, especially World War II is a great kind of like example for that, because we became such isolationists that it was pretty easy to attack us. So it's good to have these partnerships. Unfortunately, they come through a form of money. That's how these countries will like mingle with each other. To have Israel, because Israel really is the only friend in that region. And if you abandon it, which it's not even something that Trump suggests to do, could backfire on Americans, right? And that was my actually big argument for Ukraine for the longest time, is like use Ukraine, honestly, to make sure we don't go into a war with Russia in the case that it does decide to go absolutely bizarre and attack Poland, which would trigger Article 5 and yada, 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 and all that stuff. So having Israel as a partner is pretty smart, I would say. And if it comes in I want you to think about this. Unless we do something about this, which I'm for it 100%. If you can stop Congress giving $800 billion to the Pentagon every year, then maybe we can regulate it. But they already get $800 billion. And when they get, like, Israel gets 10 billion or whatever, that comes from that fund. That money's already there. So I'm like, okay, at least give it to Israel instead of giving it to Pakistan for gender studies or something.
So I totally understand what you're saying. And I'm not like saying, oh, we shouldn't have any foreign policy, but you also can't save Uganda if you can't even save your mama, right? Like no, but seriously, like that's a legit thing. Like our country is, like, our cities are falling apart. Like if you go, like, walk down the streets in Seattle or LA or Atlanta, like it seemed like disarray. People are coming over like crazy. And so I'm like, okay, why don't we, like, get our house in order first? Why don't we make our own bed before we help someone else go make their bed? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that we should like not have any foreign policy. I'm saying that maybe we should have, like, more national security before we go through all this foreign policy.
I fully agree with that. And my big thing is that you can have domestic policy and at the same time have some type of foreign policy that is still in a way advantageous to your domestic policy.
Mm-hmm.
And in Israel, for example, in Taiwan is another good example of, like, two countries where, like, our foreign aid that goes to them in a sense of debt almost comes back as a good investment, honestly. Mm-hmm. But I agree 100% with you. I mean, like, look, I wish our talking point was more like this. Instead of saying, let's stop sending all of this money overseas, which I agree with, let's be honest. The biggest reason that we're in this insane inflation right now, and this, like, shit, I would say, is because Democrats nonstop print money for all of their social net safety programs that don't do anything in America. I mean, like, they print so much money and we still have homeless veterans. Mm-hmm. What? and we can't get good infrastructure, yet they print so much money for what? Nothing. All of these social justice programs. So if we could cut how much damn money Democrats are spending on all of these, and rhinos, honestly, they vote on this stuff too because it gets money to their corporations that give them money. Then we can actually start to put money into the right things. That's where the problem is. I think it's our domestic policies are terrible, and we need to restructure them. And that's why I like MAGA. MAGA, Make America Great Again, is actually Make America Great policies. Make America First policies, and they're amazing because they focus on domestic policy. But then look at Trump. He made everything so much better by also focusing on foreign policy. So you can do the same. You can do them at the same time. It's just that when Democrats are in power, it's terrible.
Well, here's the issue you have with these politicians that are city politicians, and it's Republicans and Democrats. They spend the same exact, maybe one a little bit less than other. But here's the problem: if you try to tackle infrastructure, that is a massive, multi-year, probably multi-decade thing that you're trying to accomplish. If you have an election every 2 years, where do you get the most bang for your buck? These big ideas that can take, decades and billions of dollars that are overrun and may get killed, or another social program to get you your votes. So as a politician, if so much of your time is spent fundraising, you need to get the votes. And that's one of the fundamental problems with why we have such bad infrastructure. And yes, it's going to do a lot better for the people, but maybe not for the individual politician's pocketbook. That's why I think they should have term limits, like absolute term limits on every single thing. I mean, the Athenians who created democracy, they had a council. And in the council, you would serve, every single person inside of the community would serve 1 year, right? And then you had those people who were on the ground, and then they would go back to do their regular things that they were doing afterwards. So they had an incentive. They knew, I have 1 year here. Let me try to make my place as good as I can. So when I go back home, it's better than when I left it. But we don't have that anymore.
Yeah, we really don't. I feel like that's where the big problem is.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think, to switch gears to like you guys saw Alexei Navalny. Alexei Navalny. He got murdered or died. I'm not sure how to frame it best. And
he got died.
Died.
He got unalive.
He got unalive. Exactly. In a Russian jail, and obviously he ended up in the Russian jail because he was arrested upon coming back to Russia after being one of the most popular Russian opposition leaders, and there was an election that was going to come up. So in Russia, that's how things work. Putin kind of took a authoritarian step by changing the constitution and essentially made his term till I believe 2036 or whatever. So you know, if he doesn't like you, he removes you and stuff like that. So that's what happened with Navalny, and now he died at the age of like 45 or whatever in jail.
Oh.
I actually don't have an opinion on that because I didn't really look into it, and I also think we have bigger problems at home.
Yeah, no, I agree. Okay, so let's talk about what are some bigger problems?
Well, hold on. Let me talk about Navalny, because I've been following him for quite a while. David, you and I spoke a little bit about this, but I watched a lot of the stuff that he did. He was like almost like like a James O'Keefe. He ended up being a little bit like a James O'Keefe, where crazy story. He was poisoned with polonium, I think, and he figured out that these KGB agents, or FSB agents rather, how they poisoned him, and he basically duped them by calling them and acting like he was an FSB, and he did this on camera, so everything's on camera. People are filming it. He acted like he was from the FSB and that they were going to have to go and give the report, but he wanted to know details to write the report so that he can make them look good, basically. And they told him exactly how they did it, and then he had his people go to their homes. They doxed him. They went to the homes of the guy who tried to assassinate them. They knocked on the door, and these guys came out, and they're like, "Why did you do that?" And it was actually pretty crazy, acting like he was FSB.
Sounds like the Project Veritas stuff.
That's exactly why it reminded me of James O'Keefe. Yeah, yeah. But of course, he was. I say of course because there's no other alternative. If you have that much power in Russia, you're getting propped up by other agencies, CIA, MI6, or whatever. And so of course, you're Putin, and you understand what they're trying to do to you. They're putting NATO at your doorstep, and you know that they're propping this guy up, so you're not going to leave him out. It's unfortunate that happened to him, but what else do you do as a leader when you have someone trying to usurp your power?
That is true. That is true. It's a messy situation. I saw also his wife, or I guess now widow, got banned on Twitter today. She just made a Twitter like yesterday.
No way.
And then she got banned today. So I'm wondering why. I'll be really
strange.
Hear why.
I actually have not heard that.
I think the censorship industrial complex is going to come for us again this year. I don't know when it's going to happen. It might be in like the summer or the October surprise, but I think even X is going to get like locked down. There is, however, 2 or 3 really big cases right now that are on the Supreme Court docket that are waiting to get like basically heard. And I think that's why we're seeing a little bit more movement from Meta and Google on some of the political content. And I don't know if you guys have noticed this recently, but CNN has actually been pretty close to like reporting their version of the truth instead of like straight up lies. So they're going from like leftist lies to like basically like center left. Like it's really interesting. But like Meta came out the other day and said that they're going to stop recommending political content.
Yeah.
So you can still reach your followers, but you have to like toggle something in the settings. It's going to come out apparently, or it's rolling out slowly. I haven't seen it on my settings. I just saw an article, but you can toggle something, and you can say, I want to get political content, blah blah blah, all this kind of stuff. So
just like they automatically throttle all of the people who they determine where not stating true facts,
Mm-hmm.
like apparently myself and Gentry. So you have to go into your settings and say, no, I still want to see this, even though you're independent fact checkers who we don't even know who the hell they are, and you can't contact them. You can't appeal anything. Literally,
Right.
when you try to appeal fact checking, there's a button that just says appeal, and you can't write anything. You can't offer any counter argument why you're right. Like you're like, it's ridiculous. I literally post videos of people saying things and it says that's wrong. I'm like, this is the senator that is saying this in this congressional testimony. How is it fake news? And yeah, it's ridiculous.
So I think I know why that is happening. When you first got the option to like appeal it, it would give an email and say, hey, email this fact checker. And so what I did and what a bunch of other creators did is we posted the email and said, email these guys and and make sure that they take the fact check off. And so they removed the email because they're like, oh, like these influencers are just going to post our emails and our inbox is going to get flooded and it's going to be, but like it worked for a little bit. When that was an option, I got some fact checks removed from my page, which was great. But because I post so much and I post the truth, it gets fact checked a lot and it's even hard to keep up.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That,
it's crazy that people behind the scenes, you don't even know who they are, can just arbitrarily decide like, oh, this is false information. He deserves this tag now and all this stuff. So I like Twitter or X. It's their community notes. It's pretty cool.
It's the best thing because you can make your mind up for yourself, being a free thinking individual, not have Daddy Zuckerberg telling you what the truth is or not. Also, listening to Mike Benz on Tucker Carlson the other day when he was talking about how these fact checkers aren't even really humans. It's just NLP and all these neural networks that are just aggregating tons of information and said, yeah, that kind of matches what we think is false information. So nope. And then if you appeal it, that's the only time it may go to a human, or maybe not. I don't know if it does. No one knows. That's the problem. Is you have no idea what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's pretty frustrating because the way that I would love for it to work is like just have it be 100% free within reason, right? You don't want to have like any illegal activity on there. But like I would love it to be free so that, the comments or would act like the community notes and just be like, no, this is fake, this is true, blah blah, all this kind of stuff, especially on Twitter, right? Yeah. I wish, to be honest, I don't even like the community notes aspect because it just gives people an opportunity for it to be infiltrated, because there's a whole bunch of people who are just bums and they live in their mom's basement or they live in their wife's boyfriend's guest room, and they're just like, that's all they do is they spend their days on Reddit looking at the most like atrocious stuff on there. And then
but there's people like that on both sides though. I mean, there's bad people on both sides. I love community notes because
I think there's more on the left, to be honest.
I mean, yeah, because they're all on social programs. I love community notes. To me, it's one of the funniest things because when I see stupidity and then I see the community notes, boom. Also, it really helps if I'm looking, because I do fact check stuff myself a lot because I want to make sure that I'm, fact checking things. A lot of times it does a job for me. So for instance, this happens a lot with videos. Like I'll see a video, be like, oh, Ukraine or whatever the video is, doesn't matter. The community note will be like, this is from a video from 2005, or this is from a video from last December's onslaught on like Andivka or whatever city. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's great, because then it saves me the trouble of fact checking it myself.
Yeah. I mean, there is some benefits, but like I just see it being able to be infiltrated for sure.
They're pretty funny sometimes. I don't know if you've seen like some funny community notes. It's like a couple words or whatever, just a jab to the person.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely see your point, though, Gentry. And I think that there's even been reports of it, like people reporting about people that are actually inside the community notes that have access to it. They're like, this is infiltrated by a bunch of leftists. But what are those like weird brothers, the Krasensteins?
Oh, dude, those guys suck so bad.
Dude,
those guys
they are the worst.
So they went on PBD's podcast like a few weeks ago or a couple months ago now, I can't remember. And they straight up asked them if they're gay. And that was the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life, because listen, I thought they were gay the way they come off and whatever, right? And they were like, no, we're married, we have kids and whatnot. And I'm like, this is hilarious. Like on such a big podcast, you just right off the rip, are you gay?
That's funny.
My God.
I actually really haven't seen any of them, other than they always pop up in my For You feed, and I never, like, I scan them and I'm like, okay, this looks like it's stupid, and I just scroll past it. So my For You page is not learning what I like and what I don't like, apparently. Elon Musk,
yeah,
you're on this live
they're
stream.
actually a pretty important figure in the X movement, because they're like the independent journalist on the left, but they're wildly dishonest a lot of the time.
So they're just leftist journalists, basically.
Yeah. So they're like a DC Drano or a Jack Posobiec, but just on the left. And so, but they get millions of views, and so they're actually really important to keep track of.
Yeah,
I think Ed actually follows me along with like 100,000 other people. So
that always reminds me of like, okay, there's actually they have a pretty big base on the left, you know what I mean? And we know they're well organized, they're well funded, so it's scary knowing that like there's a lot of people seeing their stuff, because sometimes you'll be scrolling through Twitter, X, whatever it is, and it'll just feel like, wow, there's a lot of people on the right and Trump supporters and whatnot. And then seeing like a Kresenstein post and seeing like 1 million, 2 million, 3 million views, it's kind of like, whoa.
Yeah. Well, they've also done a really good job of like interacting with people on the right, and replying and all this kind of stuff. So that's one of the reasons why they're getting a ton of views, is because they just hit people's like mine and Fabian's For You page.
Wow.
And so they're getting views from people on the right, and I don't think a lot of the views are positive views, right? Because a lot of the times you'll see they'll get like, I mean, they'll get a ton of likes and retweets, but then the replies are where you go to see the gold.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, that's why I follow Joe Biden on X and on and Kamala. I think I follow Kamala Harris. I don't know, because the comments. Because every time it's like, dude, no one likes you. Look at the comments, man. Like they're roasting. It's just, it brings me a smile to my face when I see anyone get called out on their BS. I don't care if they're Republican, Democrat, Independent, Libertarian, Green Party, whatever, American Freedom Party. It doesn't matter. I just love it. And I think that's why I like community notes, because it just calls anyone out on their BS.
Well, I love it when Biden gets a community note. Like whenever he talks about inflation, he always gets a community note. Because he's like, no, this isn't actually true.
I know we've all seen that job creation video where it shows all the presidents and it shows them going up or whatever. And then every time he posts it, it gets community noted because it's the biggest BS in the world. Those aren't new jobs. Like, I think, what is it? Like 80% of those jobs are just recovered jobs after the COVID pandemic, right? So it's hilarious. And that's what I like. I wish, I feel like nobody really talks about that when that gets challenged. Like say that, like all of the success that you're seeing in the Biden administration in terms of the economy, which isn't that big, but I have to give it to him. There is some success there. Like the numbers, pretty good, whatever. It's all recovery. Gentry is like second, but look, Gentry, I mean, like the numbers are pretty good. S&P is every day hitting records and stuff like that. And
you know why? Because the
and
government is spending money like crazy, and that causes inflation. And so what happens is the interest rate, goes up. So it prices people who don't make and like all the money out of the housing market. But what that also does is it inflates prices of like gold and silver and stocks and crypto and real estate and all this kind of stuff. So really the only people that are winning are the people are baby boomers that own the houses and own all the stocks and all this kind of stuff. Like my dad is he's a financial advisor, so he's having a great year, but he's like really worried about like the stock market because it's all basically inflation. Because like yeah, it's like insane. Like he can explain it way better than I could, right? It might even be interesting to have him on to talk about it, but just the way that the bonds are moving, and they're just like basically moving the goalpost like down until probably right after the election. So like everybody basically knows that Trump is going to get in, but one of the things that they could do is they could tank the economy like right after. So like in February of 2025, we could see this like massive drop off because everything's just going to go haywire.
I mean, look, when you have BlackRock, who owns $10 trillion plus or whatever it is now, they are in the pocket of ESG. Clearly, Larry Fink is the CEO of BlackRock, and he is a big proponent of this ESG movement because it helps him to take over the market and dominate even more. And he's using your money to do it. He's using your American taxpayers or your American retirement funds to go and buy all these stocks. Anyway, it'd be very easy, since they own Vanguard, State Street, BlackRock owns something like the majority of shares in 80% of the S&P 500 companies. They literally own most of the stock market. They can go and just say, okay, you know what? Trump's getting in office. We're going to sell a ton of shares, let the market crash, and just buy it back up when it's cheaper. I mean, that's what George Soros did in England, and that's what I know he wants to do in the U.S. Just crash it, short the currency, and then get it back up on the cheap, so he has more of a share of the ownership share of the totality of all the stocks and of all of the money.
Scary stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I'm a little excited for the Bitcoin halving coming up here in a couple of months.
Yeah,
I'm very excited for that.
What is that?
Super excited.
Yeah, it's going to be what Bitcoin's at 52-ish right now.
Yeah. Last time I checked, it was like I keep getting I get alerts like every time it crosses like $1,000, right? So it's like 51,000, 52, and I kept getting alerts today. It was like it's now at 51,000, now it's at 52,000, right? So it's kind of balanced between like 51.9 and 52.0. So yeah.
Well, I mean, we always said 2025 is the next bull market. So obviously I'm the CMO of BankX, and we even 2022 we're talking about it because it's always about the Bitcoin happening. So
Gentry's gonna hate me for saying this, but it's a damn bull market right now. I mean,
well, here's the thing: you're not wrong, but the question you have to ask yourself is why.
Yeah,
because
that's
because the rest of the economy is not doing so well. Like it's just stocks and crypto right now, which for the people who own it, like me, that's fantastic. But the people who don't own it, like I don't know who'd want to buy in at 50,000 on a Bitcoin. I mean,
let me double it.
It'll go a lot higher, but I mean, shoot. It just seems like a lot.
It just, to me personally, it just seems like that the economy. Look, I feel like the Democrats, with like specifically the Biden administration, just has made like the economy like grow or whatever so much slower than it would have, honestly, if Trump was in office, because there wouldn't be this wasteful spending. Because before Trump got out of office, kind of aligned everything towards this boom that would have happened regardless who would have been in office, because of the nature of coming back into the workforce after COVID and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, look, I'm fully with you. I feel, to me, it seems like I see the stock market doing good. I saw the inflation cool down like to about 3% or whatever, but you got to think about this. This is year to year, so it's still pretty damn high.
And that's what they're telling us. I looked at the numbers at the CPI, and there was literally none of the items in the baskets of good. It's at 3.3%. So I don't know where they're getting this number from, because housing is like 6%. Everything's in like the 5 to 6%. And I'm like, okay, if all the goods, and I know they're weighed differently, but if all the goods are up 5 to 6%, how is it that overall inflation is 3%. Like, where is that coming from?
CPI, I saw that was like really, really hot, meaning garbage. Like it was like really, really inflated, which and that's another thing actually to bring up is that the way they used to calculate inflation and like what we base like the Great Depression's inflation off, it's not the same as what they calculate it now. They used to factor in so many things like housing and I don't know,
and energy and food.
Yeah.
And they literally don't have any of those things in this inflation calculation. So whatever you're seeing is fake.
Yeah.
Like it's not a real thing.
Yeah, I mean, I look, and that's why I agree. So it's like it's almost like is it all artificial or like?
Well, it is.
Yeah.
It 100%.
So in that case, it should be like in China with their artificial like building of the properties to nobody, to these ghost towns, or like our 2008 crisis, right? Wouldn't there be like a big boom eventually, like the bubble will burst because of all this artificial stuff that they're doing?
Well, yeah, but with things like ghost shares, and I mean, there's a lot of vehicles, financial vehicles with derivatives and stuff that you can get to prop up a market that's not really supposed to be there. Like, I don't think this market here is not natural whatsoever. The Fed lowered, I think they had like 9 trillion in assets, and now it's almost like 7.7 now. So they're selling off assets to try to generate activity, but it's completely propped up. I mean, the AMC GME stuff is still happening, right? Yeah. Where the shares that don't exist. So they're doing that for stocks. They're also doing that for many other things. And I mean, I don't know how much longer they can sustain it when we're paying over $1 trillion right now in interest rate as the American government now is paying over $1 trillion a year in just interest. So the wealthy live off the government. They say the poor live off the government. The wealthy live off the government, but they do it by getting interest from the government. They don't spend any of their own money. And that's the exact same thing that they accuse the poor people of doing, living off the government tea. That's what the rich do.
I wonder how you stop it then, because every time you look at that, like big debt spending that we have or whatever, the debt of America, essentially, it just keeps going forward or higher and higher.
So to be honest, I think one of the ways that you stop it is by dropping taxes dramatically. And then everyone kind of freaks out like, oh, but then there won't be any money for government funding. Well, if you actually look at the numbers, like if you increase taxes by too much, tax revenue actually goes down, right? And so if you decrease the tax rate, tax revenue actually goes up.
Yeah, there's more of a turnover.
Really, really, really interesting. And that study is done by economists from the Obama administration too, by the way. There's a fantastic video on PragerU that talks about this. But like if you lower the tax rate, you actually get more tax revenue.
Yeah. And also Brianna said, wait, don't you support UBI, Fabian? I do. And I support the UBI where every social program is cut.
All right, we're gonna cancel Fabian right now.
Cut every social program down to zero. That's how you implement a well-meaning UBI. Also, you don't allow the government to have anything to do with it, which is a little counterintuitive, but yeah, we still gotta have that talk, guys.
Yeah.
Isn't
we got like 3 more minutes.
Sense though, like the more money I have that I don't give to the government, the more likely I'm gonna go to spend it on goods essentially that get taxed anyways, and business growth, the growth of the economy, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I wonder why, somebody that I took one course of econ in like college, right? And it makes sense. I don't understand why they want to tax us at 50%, 40%.
Because then they get more money in their pockets.
But short term, right? Long term, it destroys the country, right? Yeah. It's kind of like calling a loan too soon.
I agree.
So, by the way, we are about to get kicked off this live. Thank you to everyone who's watching. Don't forget to check out our sponsor, the Wellness Company. They have some amazing med kits. That's one of their top selling items. They're a parallel economy company. They love America. It's founded by Dr. Peter McCullough. Everyone knows that name. So please go check them out. Use code BREAKAWAY for 15% off. We're really happy to be promoting them, and we're really happy to be partners with them. So thank you so much for joining. If you guys have any questions, by the way, about this live, DM us, follow us here.